All right, old sport.
It was a matter of chance that I should have rented a house in one of the strangest communities in North America.
All right, old sport.
I'm paralyzed with happiness.
You live in West Egg. You must know Gatsby.
I've got a nice place here.
All right, old...
You live in West Egg.
It was a matter of chance that I should have rented a house in one of the strangest communities in North America. I lived at West Egg. The less fashionable of the two. My house was squeezed between two huge places that rented for $12,000 or $15,000 a season. The one on my right was a colossal affair by any standard. It was Gatsby's mansion. Across the bay, the white palaces of fashionable East Egg glittered along the water, and the history of the summer really begins on the evening I drove over there to have dinner with the Tom Buchanans. Daisy was my second cousin once removed, and I'd known Tom in college.
I've got a nice place here. We'll go inside.
paralyzed with happiness.
What are you doing, Nick?
I'm a bond man.
Who with?
I told him.
Never heard of them.
You live in West Egg. You must know Gatsby.
Gatsby? What Gatsby?
Before I could reply that he was my neighbor, dinner was announced.
Why candles? In 2 weeks, it'll be the longest day in the year.
This Mr. Gatsby you spoke of is my neighbor.
Don't talk. I want to hear what happens.
Is something happening?
You mean to say you don't know? Tom's got some woman in New York. She might have the decency not to telephone him at dinner time, don't you think?
It couldn't be helped.
Already it was deep summer on roadhouse roofs and in front of wayside garages. And when I reached my estate, I ran the car under its shed and sat for a while on an abandoned grass roller in the yard. The silhouette of a moving cat wavered across the moonlight. Turning my head to watch it, I saw that I was not alone. 50 feet away, a figure had emerged and was standing with his hands in his pockets regarding the silver pepper of the stars. Something in his leisurely movements suggested that it was Mr. Gatsby himself. He stretched out his arm toward the dark water in a curious way. Involuntarily, I glanced seaward and distinguished nothing except a single green light, minute and far away. It might have been the end of a dock. When I looked once more for Gatsby, he had vanished. About halfway between West Egg and New York, the motor road hastily joins the railroad and runs beside it for a quarter of a mile, so as to shrink away from a certain desolate area of land. This is a valley of ashes, a fantastic farm where ashes grow like wheat into ridges and hills and grotesque gardens. Above the gray land, you perceive, after a moment, the eyes of Dr. T.J. Eckelberg. They look out from a pair of enormous yellow spectacles which pass over a non-existent nose. Evidently some wild wag of an oculist set them there to fatten his practice in Queens, then forgot them and moved away. Though I was curious to see Tom's mistress, I had no desire to meet her. But I did. I went up to New York with Tom on the train one afternoon, and when we stopped by the ash heaps, he jumped to his feet and literally forced me from the car.
We're getting off. I want you to meet my girl. Hello, Wilson, old man. How's business?
I can't complain.
Get some chairs, why don't you, so somebody can sit down.
Oh, sure.
I want to see you. Get on the next train.
All right.
I'll meet you by the newsstand on the lower level.
So Tom Buchanan and his girl and I went up together to New York. Or not quite together, for Mrs. Wilson sat discreetly in another car. At 158th Street, the cab stopped at one slice in a long white cake of apartment houses. I have been drunk just twice in my life, and the second time was that afternoon, so everything that happened has a dim, hazy cast over it.
Do you live down on Long Island too?
I live at West Egg.
Really? I was down there at a party about a month ago at a man named Gatsby's. Do you know him?
I live next door to him. Sometime toward midnight, Tom Buchanan and Mrs. Wilson stood face to face discussing whether Mrs. Wilson had any right to mention Daisy's name.
Daisy, Daisy, Daisy. I'll say it whenever I want to. Daisy, Daisy.
Making a short, deft movement, Tom Buchanan broke her nose with his open hand. I believe that on the first night I went to Gatsby's house, I was one of the few guests who had actually been invited.
I thought you might be here.
You don't know who we are, but we met you here about a month ago. When I was here last, I tore my gown on a chair, and he asked me my name and address. Inside of a week, I got a package with a new evening gown in it. There's something funny about a fellow that'll do a thing like that. He doesn't want any trouble with anybody.
Who doesn't?
Gatsby. Somebody told me they thought he killed a man once.
Your face is familiar. Weren't you in the 3rd Division during the war?
Why, yes. I was in the 9th Machine Gun Battalion.
I was in the 7th Infantry.
This is an unusual party for me. I haven't even seen the host. I live over there, and this man Gatsby sent over his chauffeur with an invitation.
I'm Gatsby.
What? Oh, I beg your pardon.
I thought you knew, old sport. I'm afraid I'm not a very good host. If you want anything, just ask for it. Excuse me. I'll rejoin you later.
Who is he? Do you know?
He's just a man named Gatsby. Anyhow, he gives large parties. And I like large parties. They're so intimate. At small parties, there isn't any privacy.
Miss Baker, I beg your pardon, but Mr. Gatsby would like to speak to you alone.
With me?
Yes, ma'am.
I've just heard the most amazing thing. But I swore I wouldn't tell it, and here I am tantalizing you. Please, come and see me.
What's the matter? Do we run out of gas? Back out. Put her in reverse.
But the wheel's off.
No harm in trying.
I began to like New York, the racy, adventurous feel of it at night, and the satisfaction that the constant flicker of men and women and machines gives to the restless eye. On Sunday morning, while church bells rang in the villages along the shore, the world and its mistress returned to Gatsby's house and twinkled hilariously on his lawn.
He's a bootlegger. One time he killed a man who had found out that he was nephew to Van Hindenburg and second cousin to the devil. Reach me a rosé, honey, and pour me a last drop into that there crystal glass.
You're having lunch with me today, and I thought we'd ride up together. I'm going to make a big request of you today. You'll hear about it this afternoon. I happened to find out that you're taking Miss Baker to tea.
Do you mean you're in love with Miss Baker?
No, old sport, I'm not. But Miss Baker has kindly consented to speak to you about this matter. All right, old sport.
Right you are. Know you next time, Mr. Gatsby. Excuse me.
What was that?
I was able to do the commissioner a favor once, and he sends me a Christmas card every year. Mr. Carraway, this is my friend, Mr. Wolfsheim.
I understand you're looking for a business connection.
Oh, no, this isn't the man.
No?
This is just a friend. I told you we'd talk about that some other time.
I beg your pardon, I had a wrong man. He asked to telephone. Fine fellow, isn't he? Handsome to look at and a perfect gentleman.
Yes.
I've enjoyed my lunch, and I'm going to run off from you two young men before I outstay my welcome.
Who is he, anyhow? An actor?
Meyer Wolfsheim? No, he's a gambler. He's the man who fixed the World Series back in 1919.
Why isn't he in jail?
They can't get him, old sport. He's a smart man.
I've got to say hello to someone.
Where have you been? Daisy's furious because you haven't called up.
This is Mr. Gatsby, Mr. Buchanan.
One October day in 1917.
Said Jordan Baker that afternoon, sitting up very straight on a straight chair in the tea garden at the Plaza Hotel.
I was walking to Daisy Faye's house, by far the most popular of all the young girls in Louisville. She was sitting with a lieutenant I had never seen before. The officer looked at Daisy while she was speaking in a way that every young girl wants to be looked at sometime. His name was J. Gatsby, and I didn't lay eyes on him again for over 4 years. Even after I'd met him on Long Island, I didn't realize it was the same man. By the next year, her mother found her packing her bag one winter night to go to New York and say goodbye to a soldier who was going overseas. She was prevented, but she wasn't on speaking terms with her family for weeks. In June, she married Tom Buchanan of Chicago. I came into her room half an hour before the bridal dinner and found her lying on her bed as drunk as a monkey. She had a bottle in one hand and a letter in the other. "Tell 'em all Daisy's changed her mind. Say, Daisy's changed her mind." She cried and cried. We gave her spirits of ammonia and put ice on her forehead and hooked her back into her dress. Next day at 5 o'clock, she married Tom Buchanan without so much as a shiver and started off on a 3-month trip to the South Seas. About 6 weeks ago, she heard the name Gatsby for the first time in years. It wasn't until then that I connected this Gatsby with the officer in her white car.
It was a strange coincidence.
But it wasn't a coincidence at all. Gatsby bought that house so that Daisy would be just across the bay. He wants to know if you'll invite Daisy to your house some afternoon and then let him come over.
Why didn't he ask you to arrange a meeting?
He wants her to see his house, and your house is right next door.
Does she want to see Gatsby?
She's not to know about it. Gatsby doesn't want her to know. You're just supposed to invite her to tea.
Nobody's coming to tea. It's too late.
Don't be silly. It's just 2 minutes to 4.
Are you in love with me, or why did I have to come alone? I certainly am awfully glad to see you again. We haven't met for many years.
5 years next November.
I'll be back.
What do you think of that? It stopped raining.
I'm glad, Jay.
I want you and Daisy to come over to my house.
That huge place there?
Do you like it?
I love it, but I don't see how you live there all alone.
I keep it always full of interesting people, night and day. I've got a man in England who buys me clothes. He sends over a selection of things at the beginning of each season, spring and fall.
Who's this?
That's Mr. Dan Cody, old sport. He's dead now. Used to be my best friend years ago. Look at this. Here's a lot of clippings about you.
Gatsby's notoriety had increased all summer until he fell just short of being news. Just why these inventions were a source of satisfaction to James Gatz of North Dakota isn't easy to say. James Gatz. That was really, or at least legally, his name. I suppose he'd had the name ready for a long time, even then. His parents were shiftless and unsuccessful farm people. His imagination had never really accepted them as his parents at all. So he invented just the sort of J. Gatsby that a 17-year-old boy would be likely to invent. And to this conception, he was faithful to the end. For several weeks I didn't see him or hear his voice on the phone, but finally I went over to his house one Sunday afternoon. I hadn't been there 2 minutes when somebody brought Tom Buchanan in for a drink. I was startled, naturally, but the really surprising thing was that it hadn't happened before.
delighted that you dropped in. I believe we've met somewhere before, Mr. Buchanan.
Oh, yes. So we did. I remember very well.
About 2 weeks ago. I know your wife.
That's so. You live near here, Nick?
Next door.
That's so.
We'll all come over to your next party, Mr. Gatsby. What do you say?
Certainly. I'd be delighted to have you. Look around. You must see the faces of many people you've heard about.
We don't go around very much. In fact, I was just thinking, I don't know a soul here. Who is this Gatsby, anyhow? Some big bootlegger?
Where'd you hear that?
I didn't hear it. I imagined it. A lot of these newly rich people are just big bootleggers, you know.
Not Gatsby.
Lots of people come who haven't been invited. They simply force their way in, and he's too polite to object.
I'd like to know who he is and what he does. And I think I'll make a point of finding out.
Good night, Nick.
Gatsby talked a lot about the past, and I gathered that he wanted to recover something. Some idea of himself, perhaps, that had gone into loving Daisy. His life had been confused and disordered since then, but if he could once return to a certain starting place and go over it all slowly, he could find out what that thing was.
She didn't like it. She didn't have a good time. I feel far away from her. It's hard to make her understand.
He wanted nothing less of Daisy than that she should go to Tom and say, "I never loved you." I wouldn't ask too much of her. You can't repeat the past.
Can't repeat the past? Why, of course you can. I'm going to fix everything just the way it was before. She'll see.
Next day, Gatsby called me on the phone. Going away?
No, old sport.
I hear you fired all your servants.
I wanted somebody who wouldn't gossip. Daisy comes over quite often, in the afternoons.
I see. He was calling up at Daisy's request. Would I come to lunch at her house tomorrow? Miss Baker would be there. Something was up.
Mr. Gatsby, I'm glad to see you, sir. Nick?
Make us a cold drink. You know I love you.
They certainly look cool.
What'll we do with ourselves this afternoon? And the day after that? And the next 30 years?
Don't be morbid.
But it's so hot. And everything's so confused. Ah, you look so cool. You always look so cool.
She had told him that she loved him, and Tom Buchanan saw.
All right. Come on. We're all going to town. I'll get some whiskey. You take my coupe and let me drive your car to town.
I don't think there's much gas.
Come on, Daisy. I'll take you in this circus wagon.
You take Nick and Jordan. We'll follow you in the coupe.
Did you see that?
See what?
You think I'm pretty dumb, don't you?
I remembered Gatsby's caution about gasoline.
We've got enough to get us to town.
But there's a garage right here.
Let's have some gas. What do you think we stop for? To admire the view?
I'm sick. I've been sick all day. I've been here too long. I want to get away. My wife and I want to go west.
Your wife does.
She's been talking about it for 10 years, and now she's going whether she wants to or not. I just got wised up to something funny the last 2 days. That's why I want to get away.
What kind of a row are you trying to cause in my house anyhow?
He isn't causing a row. You're causing a row. Please have a little self-control.
Self-control. I suppose the latest thing is to sit back and let Mr. Nobody from nowhere make love to your wife. Well, if that's the idea, you can count me out.
I've got something to tell you, old sport.
Please don't. Please, let's all go home. Why don't we all go home?
Your wife doesn't love you. She's never loved you. She loves me.
You must be crazy.
She only married you because I was poor and she was tired of waiting for me. It was a terrible mistake, but in her heart she never loved anyone except me.
Oh, you want too much. I love you now. Isn't that enough? I can't help what's past. I did love him once, but I loved you too.
You loved me too?
Even that's a lie. She didn't know you were alive. Why, there are things between Daisy and me that you'll never know. Things that neither of us can ever forget.
I want to speak to Daisy alone. She's all excited now.
Even alone, I can't say I never loved Tom. It wouldn't be true.
I'm going to take better care of you from now on.
You don't understand. You're not going to take care of her anymore.
I'm not. Why's that?
Daisy's leaving you.
Nonsense.
I am, though.
She's not leaving me. Certainly not for a common swindler who'd have to steal the ring he put on her finger.
I won't stand this. Oh, please, let's get out.
You two start on home, Daisy, in Mr. Gatsby's car. Go on. He won't annoy you. I think he realizes that his presumptuous little flirtation is over.
They were gone without a word, snapped out, made accidental, isolated like ghosts, even from our pity.
Wreck! That's good. Wilson will have a little business at last. We'll take a look, just a look. There's some bad trouble here. What happened? That's what I want to know.
Auto hit her. Instantly killed.
Instantly killed.
She ran out in the road. Son of a bitch didn't even stop his car. It was a yellow car. Big yellow car. New.
The goddamn coward. He didn't even stop his car. Daisy's home. I ought to have dropped you in West Egg, Nick. I'll telephone for a taxi to take you home.
What are you doing?
Just standing here, old sport. Did you see any trouble on the road?
Yes.
Was she killed?
Yes.
I thought so. I told Daisy I thought so.
How the devil did it happen?
Well, I tried to swing the wheel and...
Was Daisy driving?
Yes. But of course I'll say I was. I'm just going to wait here and see if he tries to bother her about that unpleasantness this afternoon. She's locked herself into her room, and if he tries any brutality, she's going to turn the light out and on again.
How long are you going to wait?
All night if necessary. Anyhow, till they all go to bed. Good night, old sport.
Toward dawn, I heard a taxi go up Gatsby's drive, and immediately I jumped out of bed and began to dress. I felt that I had something to tell him, something to warn him about, and morning would be too late.
Nothing happened. I waited, and about 4 o'clock she came to the window.
You ought to go away. It's pretty certain they'll trace your car. He wouldn't consider it. He couldn't possibly leave Daisy until he knew what she was going to do. He was clutching at some last hope, and I couldn't bear to shake him free. It was this night that he told me the strange story of his youth. He wanted to talk about Daisy. She was the first nice girl he had ever known. But he knew that he was in Daisy's house by a colossal accident. However glorious might be his future as J. Gatsby, he was at present a penniless young man without a past, and at any moment the invisible cloak of his uniform might slip from his shoulders. So he took what he could get, ravenously and unscrupulously. Eventually he took Daisy one still October night. Took her because he had no real right to touch her hand.
Can't describe to you how surprised I was to find out I loved her, old sport. I even hoped for a while that she'd throw me over, but she didn't, because she was in love with me too.
On the last afternoon before he went abroad, he sat with Daisy in his arms for a long, silent time. After the armistice, he tried frantically to get home, but some complication sent him to Oxford instead. Daisy didn't see why he couldn't come. She wanted her life shaped now, immediately, and the decision must be made by some force of love, of money, of unquestionable practicality that was close at hand. That force took shape in the middle of spring with the arrival of Tom Buchanan. The letter reached Gatsby while he was still at Oxford.
I don't think she ever loved him. You must remember, old sport, she was very excited. He made it look as if I was some kind of cheap sharper, and the result was she hardly knew what she was saying.
I'm going to drain the pool today, Mr. Gatsby. Leaves will start falling pretty soon, and then there's always trouble with the pipes.
Don't do it today. You know, old sport, I've never used that pool all summer.
I'll call you up.
Do, old sport.
I'll call you about noon.
I suppose Daisy will call too.
I suppose so.
Well, goodbye.
They're a rotten crowd. You're worth the whole damn bunch put together. Now I want to go back a little and tell what happened at the garage after we left there the night before. About 3 o'clock, Wilson's incoherent muttering changed. He began to talk about the yellow car. He announced that he had a way of finding out whom the yellow car belonged to.
He murdered her. It was an accident, George. It was the man in that car. She ran out to speak to him and he wouldn't stop.
4 hours later, Wilson was gone. The police supposed that he spent that time going from garage to garage, inquiring for a yellow car. By 2:30, he was in West Egg, where he asked someone the way to Gatsby's house. So by that time, he knew Gatsby's name. After 2 years, I remember the rest of that day, and that night, and the next day, only as an endless drill of police and photographers and newspapermen in and out of Gatsby's front door. It was Gatsby's father, a solemn old man, very helpless and dismayed.
I saw it in the Chicago newspaper. I started right away.
I didn't know how to reach you.
It was a madman. He must have been mad.
I didn't know what you'd want, Mr. Gatsby.
Gats is my name. Were you a friend of my boy's, Mr.?
We were close friends.
He had a big future before him, you know. If he'd have lived, he'd have been a great man. He'd have helped build up the country.
That's true.
I couldn't get to the house.
Neither could anybody else.
Go on. Why, my God. They used to go there by the hundreds. The poor son of a bitch.
After Gatsby's death, the East was haunted for me. So when the blue smoke of brittle leaves was in the air, I decided to come back home. There was one thing to be done before I left, an awkward, unpleasant thing that perhaps had better have been let alone. I saw Jordan Baker and talked over and around what had happened to us together and what had happened afterward to me, and she lay perfectly still, listening in a big chair. She was dressed to play golf, and I remember thinking she looked like a good illustration. Her chin raised a little, jauntily, her hair the color of an autumn leaf, her face the same brown tint as the fingerless glove on her knee. When I had finished, she told me without comment that she was engaged to another man. For just a minute I wondered if I wasn't making a mistake. Then I thought it all over again quickly and got up to say goodbye.
What's the matter, Nick? Do you object to shaking hands with me?
Yes. You know what I think of you.
You're crazy, Nick. Crazy as hell. I don't know what's the matter with you.
Tom, what did you say to Wilson that afternoon?
I told him the truth. What if I did tell him, Nick? That fellow had it coming to him. He threw dust into your eyes just like you did in Daisy's. But he was a tough one. He ran over Myrtle like you'd run over a dog and never even stopped his car.
There was nothing I could say except the one unutterable fact that it wasn't true. I couldn't forgive him or like him, but I saw that what he had done was, to him, entirely justified. They were careless people, Tom and Daisy. They smashed up things and creatures and then retreated back into their money or their vast carelessness or whatever it was that kept them together and let other people clean up the mess they had made. As I sat there brooding on the old, unknown world, I thought of Gatsby's wonder when he first picked out the green light at the end of Daisy's dock. Gatsby believed in the green light, the orgastic future that year by year recedes before us. It eluded us then, but that's no matter. Tomorrow we will run faster, stretch out our arms farther, and one fine morning... So we beat on. Boats against the current, borne back ceaselessly into the past.